Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it to, December 25th, and also Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 25. Odd coincidence? Yes.
Yes.
So when we left off, Lord Drakkon has been freed, and he now has in his possession Saba, which gives him interdimensional travel capabilities. And I don't know if you know, Jose, how bad that is.
Very bad.
So Lord Drakkon's now pivoted on his plans for dominating of his world, and he's just like, all right, let's dominate everything. And this kicks off Shattered Grid. Now, the artwork for this story arc is my favorite by far in the series. The artist, Danielle DiNiccolo, I think she actually took over as the main illustrator for like the next few like story arcs.
Okay.
So Shattered Grid kicks off with the Power Rangers Time Force. The Time Force is, of course, from the future, the year 3000-ish. And they are noticing that time is starting to like break. Not just like the timeline's messed up, but like there are visible fractures in reality now. Space and time are tearing themselves apart because of the actions of Lord Drakkon. And Drakkon's first order of business is basically to eliminate the Time Force, because the Time Force can travel through time, as their name implies. And with that in mind, they can, thwart the plans that he has set in motion now. So he actually eliminates everyone except for the Pink Time Force Ranger, who escapes using a really cool jetpack. And Lord Drakkon is left with 4 of the 5 Time Force Rangers. We're given a quick update on the Mighty Morphin Rangers and the situation at hand. So, as you might expect, everyone's a little upset with Grace because she was keeping secrets. And Grace is like, hey guys, just a friendly reminder. How were we supposed to know that this Drakkon guy was your problem? And they're just like, well, whether he was our problem or not before, he's definitely our problem now. Also, he's your problem. So we're gonna move forward with this. So one of the things, like I said, this affects all of Power Rangers, but one of the things that they do a phenomenal job of in this like arc is referencing other series like more in depth. So like we've had in the past, we've had a couple of small minor references to the future of things, but this story arc fully embraces the future of Power Rangers, and that starts off with Lord Drakkon going to see Ninjor. Now, Ninjor I've talked about a couple of times. In his own timeline, Drakkon killed Ninjor. In this timeline, he seeks out Ninjor's help to fix his broken morpher. And Ninjor, as I've said before, is probably the creator of the actual power coins. So without Ninjor, there are no Power Rangers on Earth. And, the fact that Drakkon is going to seek out help from Ninjor shows that he recognizes the situation he's in. He's in a timeline that nobody knows who he is, except for, of course, the Power Rangers, who at this point in time had not been in contact with Ninjor. So he's taking full advantage of the fact that he is basically an unknown here.
Oh, okay.
So while, Zordon and the 6 Rangers may know who Lord Drakkon is, at this point in the Power Rangers history, Ninjor had not even been mentioned yet. Because he was only necessary in season 3 to get the ninja powers, because that's, what he had. So at this point, Lord Drakkon is going to the source to get his morpher repaired. And with everything that's happened, the Rangers and Zordon are just trying to like figure out what the hell to do from here. Like, we have Lord Drakkon, who now has his Morpher and Saba, and they don't really know where he's gone. All they know is that as of right now, he's not really causing any trouble. So they're on standby, which as ex-military, being on standby for potential like threats is so nerve-wracking. Have you ever heard the term hurry up and wait?
Yeah.
So this whole situation that they're in is just a hurry up and wait situation. And everyone's kind of like, okay, this is we've got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. And Tommy and Kimberly are still hashing out this weird relationship they're in.
Yep.
Kim's kind of like trying to be like, hey, so I know it's got to be weird for you to be like fighting against yourself or whatever. And Tommy's like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll take you out for coffee. And so they end up like, yeah, they end up making plans to go on a date while all of this is happening. A lot of this story just kind of like you get very quick spurts of what's happening, but it's between multiple different perspectives. So right now we shuffle in between the Rangers and Lord Drakkon pretty frequently. Just forewarning our listeners that if it seems like it's disjointed, it's because it's a little disjointed, and that's okay. So Ninjor is fully redoing Drakkon's Morpher. And because he is a mystical space ninja, he's using mystical space magic to rebuild this thing. And the whole time he's working on it, he's like, I'm noticing that some things are wrong with this.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're like fractured.
Right. So not only is the power coin broken, but he says that all of these power, like there's multiple powers within his power coin, right? As we've established, he absorbed the White Ranger energy while he was the Green Ranger, right? Yeah. But he didn't do it correctly. Everything looks like it's kind of just been mishmashed together. And
like Frankenstein kind of thing?
Basically, yeah. And Drakkon, once again, is just like, look, it was kind of a last resort for us to win the war. And Ninjor's kind of like, so what happened? Did we win? And Drakkon's like, so far. So even Ninjor being who he is, he's always in the show. He was kind of played up as kind of a goofier version of Zordon, but in this one, like, he is fully conscious that there is something going on, but he doesn't know how to like prevent bad things from happening on it yet. He doesn't know what it is. He just knows that something's a little bit off. And so he gives Drakkon his Morpher back, and Drakkon immediately morphs. And he's already, and as soon as he morphs, he's like, okay, so something still feels wrong. And Ninjor's just like, I wouldn't worry about it. You're probably just tired. Just give it some time. And he's like, cool. So here's the thing. We're not done. We're not done with what we've accomplished already. Like, yes, thank you for fixing my Morpher, but there's more to come. And it's an ominous, like, I gotta be honest, this is a very ominous, like, icon of Lord Drakkon's mask zoomed in.
Yeah.
Lord Drakkon's an intimidating fella, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he is a genuine threat, and his presence feels threatening. And one of the things we've seen before in the past is those green energy crystals, the chaos that gather the green chaos energy. It's what caused Black Dragon to arrive in this world, remember?
Yeah.
So Billy and Trini are currently working with the remains of the Black Dragon. Remember, she kind of built herself that Iron Man suit a while back with the Black Dragon's remains. And Billy is trying to figure out like how this chaos energy crystal works, right? And you know, being the brainiacs they are, they're like, okay, we're going to be working late into the night. Let's get some coffee. And while they step away, like, I'm talking the second they step out of this room, Lord Drakkon is there gathering, like, taking back the green chaos energy.
That's actually fucking really baller.
Dude, like, he didn't even give time for, like, Billy's seat to cool off before he was in the room. And Kimberly and Tommy are on their first awkward date. So at this point in time, for the story, as far as the comics that have been released, we don't have a concrete answer as to why Kimberly is no longer with Matt.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So Kimberly's on a date with Tommy, and it's a little bit awkward. It's a first date, and Tommy leans in for a kiss.
Not only is the first date for them, but it's like they're trying to take their mind off of what's going on in the world.
Exactly,
or in their world.
And Tommy's like, hey, he's trying to put the moves on her, like biting his lip, and he leans in for a kiss, and she's just like, hey, no thanks. This was fun. See you tomorrow. And as they're walking away, and the whole time they're both beating themselves up for various reasons. Kimberly's like, man, I should have just like gotten in that.
Went for it.
And Tommy's like, man,
yeah.
I rushed it too much. And so Kimberly turns around and yells and chases after Tommy. She's like, you know what? I'm going for it. And Tommy. And Tommy turns, hearing his voice, and gets fucking stabbed.
Oof.
So here's the thing about this. So they built, the way they did this was perfect, because narratively speaking, Kimberly was the one yelling for Tommy, and it's very subtle, the difference. So when Kimberly's saying Tommy, she is yelling it. There's an exclamation point. When Lord Drakkon says Tommy to get his attention, it is a period. So Tommy turns, like, kind of like, who the hell is this? And Drakkon doesn't even give him a chance to respond, and just stabs straight through his back with Saba. And then, because he is with, like, he has everything. Drakkon has everything he needs at this point. He has the green energy crystal. He has Saba, which allows him to travel through dimensions, etc. And he has his power coin. He's back to essentially full power at this point. And Kimberly, upon arriving and seeing her boy man stabbed in the back, is like ready to throw down. But Drakkon is much more powerful than Kimberly is. Because, you know, he's like 3 different Rangers all melded into one, right? Mm-hmm. And lucky for Kimberly, Pink is there to save the day. The Pink Time Force Ranger has shown up at the point she could. So here's an interesting thing, and we'll get into this a little bit more in depth. Much like in the Across the Spider-Verse, how it talks about like canon events, things that cannot be stopped. This is that. This is where that is. Pink Time Patrol or Time Force shows up after Tommy has been stabbed because she cannot go back further.
Oh, okay.
So she blasts Drakkon, who escapes using the portal technology, and Tommy dies in Kimberly's arms. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a girlfriend die in your arms or a boyfriend die in your arms. It's tragic. The pink and
yeah, I would assume so.
And the pink Time Force Ranger is literally like, she's on her last leg right now of energy. She's like about to pass out herself. And Kimberly's just like, okay, guys, somebody needs to help. Like, I need backup right now because we are about to lose Tommy. And that is the end of the first issue of this story arc.
Oh, what a good intro.
So, issue number 26. Beautiful cover art. It's got the pink Time Force Ranger Jen showing up. She's got a very angelic vibe to her, as you know, Kimberly is weeping over Tommy's dead body. So we end up, we are now back in the world of the coinless, Lord Drakkon's world, and everyone's kind of like, okay, he's back, cool. So since you've been gone, we have rebuilt, like we've gotten things back to where they need to be. So we're just waiting for your next order. And Drakkon's kind of like, all right, my next order is just fuck off for a while. I have some stuff I need to get done. And with his newfound like way of doing what he wants to, he goes and talks to his right hand man, Finster 5.
It's crazy.
So we saw Finster 5 briefly in Go-Go Power Rangers number 8 at the end with that other Pink Ranger, right?
The psycho looking one, right?
Correct, yeah. So Finster 5 is an amalgamation of course, Finster and Alpha 5's technology. And here we see something that I don't think we've ever seen anybody do with Alpha, let alone Finster, and Lord Drakkon embraces him.
Yeah, he's showing affection to him.
Like, here's the thing is we've had we had that moment where Tommy was like, hey man, you don't have any fucking friends, and Lord Drakkon's like, I've got so many friends, man, you don't even know. Well, this is evidence that we do have a friendship with Finster 5.
Yeah. They're both evil, but yeah, they're friends.
Look, I mean, here's the thing though, is yes, they are evil bastards, but like, even evil bastards have some semblance of heart, you know? Like, in Lord Drakkon's mind, everything he is doing is for the greater good. Like, sure, he has a really warped sense of what the greater good is, but he is not, you know, he's not just an evil bastard just to be an evil bastard. So anyway, Finster 5 is like, all right, so what's going on? What's the plan? And Drakkon's like, all right, so check it. You remember that blue dude with the big N on his chest that we killed a while back? I got another one. And he is going to be the solution to what our plans have always been. And again, at this point, he's still being very vague about what his plans are, but we do know that he is definitely up to some shenaniganery, right?
Interesting.
And God, while he's getting up to no good in his home world, in our home world, the Rangers are like mourning. Like this isn't a Billy and Tommy are missing anymore. They are dead. Like Tom, well, Billy's not, but Tommy is dead. Before they even have a funeral for Tommy, they do everything in their power to try and undo what's been did, you know? Mm-hmm. And like even Trini's like, look, we got to be real with ourselves. Like, this might not be something that they can undo. And Kimberly, of course, is being Kimberly, and she's like, what do you? No, don't give up. And even Zordon's like, look, I'm gonna be real with you. He's dead. Like, there's no undoing this. I'm an alien, man. I'm not a wizard. You know? And so like they're like, so what do we do now? And Jason's even like we grieve. The first thing that happens is obviously they have to tell Tommy's family that Tommy is dead. And at this point, I think it's just Tommy's mom. And so day 1, they tell Tommy's mom what happened. Day 2, they're giving what energy is left from the green power coin to Jason to have that little extra push, you know? Day 3, like it's affecting so much that even Bulk and Skull are like depressed about this. and then day 4 is the funeral. And like, here's the thing: is in Go-Go Power Rangers, we see that Jason and Zach were tight, like real tight friends, right?
Yeah.
It's very obvious, like after Tommy shows up, it becomes more of like Jason and Tommy than it is Zach and Jason. But Zach still is there to be a comfort to his friend, which in times like this you definitely need. It's unfortunate, but like while they've lost a friend, yes, they still have each other. And while Zach and Jason are kind of just like being support for each other, they get a call from Alpha that the Pink Ranger that showed up to help Kimberly has woken up, and she gives a hell of an exposition on this. She's like, basically, I'm from the distant future, and they're like, how distant are we talking? And she's like the year 3000 and some change. And I want you to know, like, after this, there are a lot of Power Rangers that show up, and they're all like, what do you mean Power Rangers after us? And they're like, and she's like, okay, look, I'm not trying to jerk you off here or anything, but like, you guys are kind of a big deal. And she pulls up a timeline that shows like the iconic symbols of every group of Power Rangers after this, right?
Like the Time Force and the Rangers in Space things.
Right, you've got
like
Rangers, and you've got, so there's the Mighty Morphin, you've got the Alien Rangers, the Zeo Turbo in Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed, Time Force. They actually cover up a little bit. Oh no, that's Wild Force. I'm sorry, they don't have Time Force in the timeline because Time Force takes place, in the year 3000. But yeah, they got everything. They have everything up through, I think it was Ninja Steel at this point. And she's like, so this is the timeline, right? All of these come after this. And then she pulls up another map, and it looks kind of like a 5-year-old trying to draw a map of a fantasy world, but all they know how to do is draw like lines to break apart. Basically, we have the eponymous shattered grid. And she's like, so basically what's happening is the Morphin grid is like, okay, to preserve itself, it has broken the timeline into fragments. It's isolated each individual time, or each individual like Ranger era, so that way everything doesn't collapse. So in essence, it's made multiple pocket dimensions out of one single timeline to prevent Lord Drakkon from destroying everything at once. And we get to jump into, this series introduces so very many characters in such a rapid succession, and I love it. So the first group of other Rangers we get to see are the Samurai Rangers. I wasn't personally a huge fan of Power Rangers Samurai. I didn't see most of it, but from what I did see, I just wasn't a huge fan. That being said, the way that they do these characters, so we don't spend a lot of time with most of the Samurai group. It's just the Red Ranger, Lauren, right?
Okay.
Lauren is a badass. Lauren is, so with Power Rangers Samurai, they all have elemental control, kind of like Spinjaga, or Ninjago, right? So Lauren controls fire, and she's just doing her training to like make sure that she's not losing it. And while she's in her training session, Lord Drakkon shows up with his entire army.
What the fuck?
Like I'm talking, this motherfucker strolls in, all surefire cocky about what he's about to do, flanked by a Tyrannosaurus sentry on either side, 2 of the saber-toothed tiger sentries right behind him, and then a squad of the Mastodon sentries, along with a few tanks. And the Samurai Rangers are like, well, these don't look like Nylox. Nylox, for those that don't know, are the like putty patrollers from the Samurai era. And And Lord Drakkon's just like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Just fire the tanks. The tanks are going to, we're going to just take them all down. Which starts a pretty rad battle. So, like, the Samurai Rangers jump into battle with all these sentries. Now, keep in mind, the sentries, while they are a good trained militia, or like military force, they are not Power Rangers. They are not like, they don't have the same, like, fighting prowess that Power Rangers do. What they do have, however, are demorphing guns. So they shoot these guns at the various Rangers, and it depowers them. So as everyone's getting rounded up, the Blue Ranger launches a shield for Lauren so that she doesn't lose her power and knocks her off a cliff. Meanwhile, Drakkon rounds up the rest of them and is like, okay, you guys go get the red one for me. And the roundup begins. So one of the things that he has his sentries do, obviously, is take the morphers away. And while taking the main weapon away from your opponent is a great thing to start with, there's more to it. With this trouble at the Samurai House, we flash back to the command center. Billy has been working with the Black Dragon's torso and some of the technology from the Time Force that he has access to, and has made it so that they can now teleport to and from the different pocket dimensions, which is pretty cool that this 16-year-old or whatever knows how to do this kind of shit. And
fucking smart as hell.
So keep in mind, at this point, up to this point, the only one of the Rangers that is present now that has seen any of what Lord Drakkon has going on is Billy. So the rest of the Rangers are showing up to see armed sentries that are ready to fuck shit up. So the sentries are, Zach's like, okay, we gotta do this, and Jason's like, okay, listen, man, I appreciate the gusto you're hitting us with, but like, they just took down an entire squad of Rangers, no issue. Yeah. And as the black sentries are starting to fight, like they come across Lauren and they're like, all right, it's time to go. The other Rangers show up and just whap them. And because Billy's a smart dude, he of course has equipment to prevent their like power demorphing guns from working. He hits them with an EMP that saves everyone's powers, and in the process they save Lauren. So now we've got a team of Rangers with 2 Red Rangers and 2 Pink Rangers.
Oh shit.
Now Drakkon has been getting his greedy little mitts all over the the Samurizers. Their morphers are called Samurizers, which, and I hate them. I hate what the morphers look like for the Power Rangers Samurai. They're flip phones.
They could be worse. Come on.
No, they are flip phones that turn into paintbrushes to paint their kanji before they morph. And I like the fact the painting of the kanji, but the flip phones is what pisses me off. That whatever. I'm gonna get over it. It's not the comic's fault. It's the series. So he's been tampering with the Samurizers, and has Finster, pull the lever crunk, which powers up Lord Drakkon with the Power Ranger Samurai powers too. Now, one of the things that happens throughout this series a lot is Lord Drakkon's appearance changes so much. So keep in mind, up to this point, he has had what looked to be a hybrid of the Green Ranger and the White Ranger. His shield was still the Dragon Shield, but it had more like stripes on it, and there was more depth to it, and instead of just being solid gold, it was gold and green. With this latest upgrade now, his armor looks more like something a samurai would wear. And it has the shoulder pads, instead of being like one piece, they're segmented like the White Ranger's shoulder pads were, but he's also now got the collar that the Samurai Rangers have. So
God, that looks so fucking cool.
And Finster 5's just like, dude, that was so cool. And Drakkon's like, so do we need to use the rest of these Samurizers? And he's like, no, that's the thing, because basically every morpher that like for a team is all connected to the morphin grid in the same way. If he can get his hands on one morpher, he is set. He doesn't need the rest of the morphers to upgrade anymore. And he's like, all right, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to use the extra morphers we have and make more sentries.
Oh, so he's going to have samurai sentries
He's going to have samurai sentries, and he's like, all right, so now that we have this going there, we have so much more that we can do. And we have so much more that we can conquer.
So in the first comic, he just straight up just killed the Time Force Rangers just so they don't have to jump everywhere.
It's very vague as to what has happened with the Time Force Rangers.
Okay.
They definitely aren't around right now.
Yeah, because he didn't take a Time Ranger morpher.
Correct. He does not have the Time Force morphers yet.
Okay.
The next issue, this comic series, or Shattered Grid, the story arc jumps between Mighty Morphin and Go-Go, as well as a couple other specials, right? The first special that we get was actually was Free Comic Book Day 2020 or 2018. Man, fuck, that was so long ago. 2018,
and I didn't realize what that was, and I skipped out on that fucking issue.
So, all right, well, I'm glad that you had the opportunity to read it now. So, this issue gives us a little bit more of backstory on it. So the Samurai Rangers have fallen. The Drakkon is now like acquiring more
morphers.
More morphers to make more sentries, and Zordon asks for Alpha to call out to the emissaries. Now the emissaries have in more recent years become more commonly referenced.
Okay.
But the thing is at this point in time, the emissaries hadn't really come out. Like this isn't a thing that was referenced in Power Rangers as a whole. Their first appearance, as a matter of fact, was, I think, either this issue or one of the ones coming before it. But the emissaries are basically the representation of the Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. That was going to be my follow-up question.
Yeah, so as of right now, there are 3 emissaries. One that represents red, one that represents blue, and one that represents yellow. These 3 colors are important because, with very few exceptions, every single Power Ranger team has a yellow, a blue, and a red Ranger.
Oh, because it's like the emissary 3, so there's like...
Right. So it's the 3 primary colors for Power Rangers, essentially.
Oh, duh. I could have went with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're like, all right, what do you want, Zordon? Like, what? Why are you calling on us? And he's like, look, Lord Drakkon, have you heard of him? He's an evil bastard, and we need your help. And
also, sorry, I gotta stop real quick. The way that I can see them now, like the way they wanted to draw them up, it's a amalgamation of like future and past, or all the Rangers that come from him.
Yeah, so
the blue looks like a shark, and I really fucking like that. I dig that.
Yeah, so what we've got here is as you said, they kind of warp between different generations of Rangers, right? This is actually the Wild Force Blue Ranger that you're seeing.
What is the Wild Force? There's nothing but animals?
Yeah, so Wild Force was the series, I believe, right before Time Force.
Okay.
Nope, right after Time Force.
Mighty Morphin is based off of prehistoric dinosaurs.
Right. So the Wild Force team,
prehistoric animals, because dinosaurs and the Mastodon.
Right. So Wild Force, their Red Ranger was a lion, Yellow Ranger was an eagle, Blue Ranger was a shark, Black Ranger was a bull, and the White Ranger was a tiger or a wildcat. And then their special ranger was Silver, and he was a wolf.
The Lunar Wolf. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of the recent ones, isn't it?
Wild
The
Force.
series?
Oh God, no. That was like season 6, I think. Season 10. So it was season 10, but it came out in like 2002. So it's an old one.
Okay.
So the emissary. So Zordon's talking to the emissaries. We need your help. This guy's really bad. Like, he's bad news. If we don't intervene, like, we're screwed. And the emissaries are like, look, man, we've been around a long time. We've seen a lot of things come and go. We're not helping here. If you're coming to us for help right now, you've proven that you're not worthy to, like, mentor Power Rangers. And he's like, and Zordon's just like, look, I understand where you're coming from, and I want to explain. Like, these are my Rangers, and he shows off we get a little bit of, like, backstory for each of the Rangers, and this one actually feels more akin to the TV show, the premiere of the TV show, when, like, Jason's teaching Billy, and Kimberly and Trini are doing their thing that they do. But we get to see, like, their actual, like, this is where they came from. So we earthquaked, we brought them to the command center, we made them Power Rangers, and then we fought Rita a lot. Like, we have put up a good fight. And then when Tommy showed up, we brought him back from, like, evil. You know, recapping basically everything that we know happens in the TV show. But now we get to see what happened on the other side of things. So Zordon's like, okay, so, like, we saved Tommy in my timeline. Lord Drakkon is Tommy from a timeline where we didn't save him. He became Rita's, like, basically disciple. And once he reached a certain point of power, he decided that he no longer needed to be answering to Rita, and ended her. And he said, and basically, like, Drakkon took over because Drakkon was capable of both being a Power Ranger and magic.
That's fucking wild.
He took over as leader of the world, amassed an army, and then killed our Tommy Oliver. And because of that, everything's falling apart. The multiverse the timeline has shattered into a multiverse. And the emissaries are like, dude, look, this looks bad for you. We get it. But, like, we see things on a less linear scale, so it's okay. Like, everything will be just fine. But good luck. Seriously, we wish you all the best. And they just send Zordon flying back. Zordon's presence with the emissaries is over. And after Zordon is thrown out, the blue emissary says, okay, guys, like, are we being assholes here? Like,
we've heard him out.
like Zordon's not really one to just, like, jump to conclusions. He's usually pretty methodical about what he does. And the red emissary is just like, look, man, even if this universe collapses, there's always other universes. Like, it's one universe. We'll be fine. It's a cycle. Everything comes and goes, and then it comes back around. And while they're arguing about whether or not they should help, we see Lord Drakkon, and he is now carrying multiple morphers, and he is picking and choosing the parts that he needs from each morpher to keep powering himself up.
Whoa.
And from the ones I recognize, I know for sure that we've got the Dino Thunder Red Ranger, and that's all I recognize. But that's enough. Well, so the thing with the Dino Thunder is Tommy was a Black Ranger for Dino Thunder.
Oh, so it's an Easter egg?
No, it means that he's already killed that Tommy.
Oh, okay.
So, Drakkon.
Do you think that the rest of them are the Tommy ones?
I don't know. I don't think that I don't think he's gone all Tommies yet. But that's we'll find out as we go.
Also, this fucking cover is, what is it, like a Star Wars and...
It's an homage to Star Wars, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I was also... It also feels like a... The fuck is that? Dune?
Okay.
I think Dune had a cover like that for a bit.
This is a very common layout for movie posters and stuff.
The head posters.
So I'll say this. The number of covers they did for this annual is insane. Like, I'm talking, I think they had probably like 15 just standard covers you could get to sell in stores. And then there was like all the incentive stuffs. This was just the standard one that we have.
What was it? 2018?
Yeah, 2018 covers.
Oh,
so
good.
Oh, I guess
they have that one.
Which one?
The red, but it's the inverted. But it's like
the grayscale one.
The grayscale one, but like the Power Rangers themselves.
Yeah, are much more vibrant. Yeah. All right. So the annual is actually it's an anthology. So
okay,
this one's not necessarily linear story arc. This is several different realities and what happened to them when Drakkon came to town.
Okay.
So, Power Rangers Zeo is the series that followed Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? So a lot of these Rangers right here are still like Rangers from the Mighty Morphin era. So we've got Tommy is the Red Ranger, Adam is the Green Ranger, Rocky is the Blue Ranger, Tanya is the Yellow Ranger, and Kat is the Pink Ranger, right?
Okay.
The Power Rangers Zeo only ever got one comic book issue in, I think it was like 97. It was supposed to be an ongoing series, but it just did not sell well. It was only it ended up being a one-shot done by Image Comics, and the art style they chose to do this particular story is in a reference to that.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. So, we just get the Rangers fighting, and just fighting off some of the cogs, which is what they normally do. And then afterwards, they're having a little like celebration for Jason. So Jason, the original Red Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo, became the Gold Ranger briefly. He was taking over for an alien called Trey of Triforia. He was an alien that could split his body into 3 different bodies, all the same person. And after he gave the powers back to Trey, he kind of felt like dejected, like, out of it. And so they give him a very special gift. They gave him back the Red Ranger Morpher, the Mighty Morphin Ranger Morpher with the power coin, which should have been destroyed, but it wasn't. It was damaged but not destroyed. So they have a nice little going away party, and afterwards Tommy and Jason are having a moment of it's crazy how things have worked out. Like, I'm glad we met. I'm glad we met, and that we became, brothers essentially after everything we went through as Rangers. And Tommy's like, I'm glad too. And as they all say their goodbyes, Tommy kind of slinks away while they're sharing cake, and Adam notices. Adam's like, what the hell is going on over there? Because he teleports away with green energy rather than red energy, which, as we know, Adam is the Green Ranger now. So Adam never actually saw Tommy as the Green Ranger. He only ever saw Tommy as the White Ranger, and then, the Red Ranger, etc. So he teleports back to the actual Tommy from that time period, and it's Lord Drakkon. And this version of Tommy has not met Lord Drakkon.
Oh shit.
So because of the way the grid shattered, a lot of the interactions that he's had with people didn't happen in this particular era. And he shows off, hey, look what I stole. And it's Adam's morpher. And Tommy's like, hey man, if you even think about it, and then Drakkon, kills him. So that's yet another Tommy that Drakkon has killed. He's just killing Tommies left and right.
Yep.
So the next story arc we get is from the SPD era. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Power Rangers SPD came out in, oh gosh, I want to say 2005. Let's see, SPD. Yeah, came out February of 2005. But it didn't take place until the year 2025.
Ooh, that's gonna be cool.
It was.
Do anything?
It was the near. I hope they do. God, I really hope they do some kind of celebratory thing for this one. Okay, so SPD stands for Space Patrol Delta. The Rangers that are like the Rangers of that season are the B Squad. So the B Squad is the Red Ranger, Blue Ranger, Green Ranger, Yellow Ranger, and Pink Ranger. And their commanding officer, whose name is Doggy Kruger, he is an alien called a Syrian, like the star Sirius, which is where his people come from. He looks like a big dog. That's why they call him Doggy.
Okay.
He's training some newer recruits, but they're kind of just not doing well. And even the SPD Rangers are kind of like, hey, these guys kind of suck. At which point Doggy's like, all right, bet you guys can do some laps. 30-mile run while carrying this group of cadets on your back. And as they're like, oh, come on, man, we were just joking. Drakkon's forces fall through one of their like little wormholes and just start wailing on them. Luckily, this is literally a police force made up of Power Rangers, and Doggy Kruger himself is an expert swordsman. So while they have the sentries there, they're not gonna take down anybody without a fight, which is unfortunate because that means Lord Drakkon gets called into the battlefield and just takes out Doggy with one punch. And they're like, what do you want? And he's like, I mean, I want your power. Something with SPD that isn't very common, or wasn't very common up to this point, is each of the Rangers has like a superpower.
Oh, okay.
So I think Sky, which is the Blue Ranger, I think he can create force fields. Let's see, abilities, power, shield projection. Yeah, so he can make force fields. The Green Ranger can create illusions, I think. Man, you'd think I'd know this from what I've watched. Psychometry. He can sense the auras of other people. They basically all have just like super weird superpowers.
Weird niche powers.
Yeah, that they use for their rangering.
Okay.
Now, one of the things is that the Power Rangers have to be able to fight back, right? But they can't morph because, they use the demorpher gun things.
Mm-hmm.
So B Squad is forced to rely on C Squad, which is the just a group of they're still in training, and they're holding their own against Drakkon sentries. And then they bring out one of the coolest Zords of all time. It looks like a Voltron lion, but it's a wolf.
Dude, what? This is my first time seeing it. This is really cool.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, we got this. And then Drakkon's just like, you know what? Fuck this. So they just leave. Drakkon packs his bags and they just boogie. So for once, the Rangers actually fight off Drakkon, despite him being incredibly overpowered.
There you go.
The next one we jump over to is actually, so for the most part, all of the Power Rangers series take place in one timeline. The exception is RPM. RPM is the one with all the cars with the goofy anime eyes, right?
Okay.
So
look at John Wick.
Well, that's, yeah, basically. So Drakkon is now in the RPM universe, and he's like, hey, listen, I know how to defeat Venjix, which is the big bad of that universe. While Drakkon is trying to plead his case to lie to get what he wants, the RPM Rangers are throwing a birthday party for their like mentor figure who built basically everything for them. I don't know a whole lot about the show, but Dr. K is very non-emotional as a character. So while they're like trying to throw her a surprise party that she doesn't want, another wormhole opens up, and we get to see blue samurai sentries.
Oh shit, the new ones.
And I want you to take note here. The way that they are armed is like how Deadpool was armed in Wolverine Origins, where the katanas come out of his wrist.
Oh yeah, they are.
And with that, the Rangers go get ready to go and fight off. They do, and much like the SPD, they do a pretty good job of fighting it off. They do, however, lose some of their powers. They do get demorphed for a few of them do. And while they're fighting, Drakkon's like, listen, I want to help you. Let's work together on this. Because I need you to help me in my world. He's trying to play it like he's cool. Like he's a good guy. And Dr. K's like, okay, and what if I don't want to? And Drakkon goes, well, then I'll just have to kill everyone. And she's like, okay, fine. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to join you. I'm never going to join you. And she pulls out a gun and shoots the dude.
What the fuck?
So the thing is it's very quickly shown, oh, he's an android. Did you know he was an android? And Dr. K just grabs the cake that they had made for her and leaves. And is like, I'm going to be in my room. And the Green Ranger's kind of like, well, happy birthday. She's like, yeah, totes, man.
But, okay, no, you gotta give her props. She was willing to just kill anybody that was gonna harm her and her world and her team.
There was a lot. Well, one of the things is that was going on is Dr. K was accidentally the reason that this virus that destroyed the world got out.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like on one hand, it's like she knows he's a bad guy, but also he's got information that could be very bad for her if it got out.
Okay, so it was like a win-lose situation.
Right.
Hey, look, Rangers in space.
All right, so we get to Power Rangers in Space. Power Rangers in Space, again, is one of those that still has some connections to the Mighty Morphin era. It was actually the last season of what was supposed to be Power Rangers. The original plan for Power Rangers was that it would end after Power Rangers in Space. Now,
interesting.
So the Rangers in question are TJ, Ashley, Cassie, and Carlos. TJ, Cassie, Ashley, and Carlos were the second batch of Turbo Rangers. So halfway through Power Rangers Turbo, the original cast ended up leaving the show.
Okay.
Basically, they had all gotten to the point where they're like, we don't want to do Power Rangers anymore. Except for Johnny Bosch Young. He wanted to keep going as Adam, but they were like, well, look, we're already writing off all of your original teammates. So we're just going to keep Justin, who was the literal child Power Ranger, and we're going to get a whole new cast, right?
Okay.
At the end of Power Rangers Turbo, they went into space. That's where Power Rangers in Space came from. TJ got bumped down to the Blue Ranger, and Andros is the new Red Ranger.
Turbo was before Space?
Yeah. So it goes Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, Space.
Okay.
So, they're in space. They've got long time just like floating
To themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, like if there's not somebody actively looking for trouble, then like whatever. And TJ, who again was once the Red Ranger, is getting kind of frustrated. He's like, look, we're supposed to be saving people, not just like chilling. But because it's Andros' ship, Andros has the final say, and he's like, we are just chilling. We're waiting for help. And while TJ's griping about it, the Alpha 5 or Alpha 6, which is Alpha 5's upgraded version, is like, I need help in the airlocks. I can't do this with my robot hands. I need human hands. And the whole time, Drakkon has been watching, and he's just like, man, these guys are bitches. And he's like, and he takes over the ship essentially, and Drakkon pops out of the shadows as he is wont to do, and smashes Alpha's face into the computers. And TJ is again working in an airlock.
Oh.
Everybody's Drakkon speaks to all the Rangers like, everyone surrender. Give me your morphers. Nobody gets killed. And the Rangers are like, how about no? And TJ is meanwhile stuck in the airlock while he's watching all of his friends get absolutely wrecked by Drakkon's forces. And so he does the only thing he can think to do, which is to get Drakkon's attention, drag him into the airlock with him, and then open the airlock. So, so TJ knows that he can't morph, because if he morphs, then Drakkon can just take it again, right? Everything falls apart, which means that he is raw muscling Lord Drakkon and trying to completely destroy what's going on, but gets shot out in the air, out of the airlock. In doing so, TJ has lost his morpher and is now floating in space. And he has breathing apparatuses, but I don't know if you know this, but surviving in space is not an easy task. You're going to freeze to death. It's going to happen. The rest of the so Drakkon's like, I've got what I need. Let's get out of here. And the rest of the Rangers are like, where is TJ? And we just see TJ left floating in space. Now, we're now at a point in the series that I am not familiar with in any capacity. And that is Ninja Steel. Ninja Steel was like one of the more recent ones, obviously. Like, this was from 2018. That was that generation of the Power Rangers, right?
Okay.
Ninja Steel was seasons 24 and 25. We are currently on 30. So, with the Ninja Steel Rangers, there is we get a little bit of their backstory as to like this evil old crotchety bitch that they had fought previously. And while the Red Ranger is kind of like, okay, thinking about what needs to happen next, Drakkon and his army shows up, like literally, again, just out of nowhere, like, hey, give me your morpher. And
out of the shadows again.
And he's just like, no, I'm gonna morph. So he morphs and fights, and Drakkon gets his morpher away from him and said, all right, so here's the thing. Either submit or I kill you. And the Rangers and Red Ranger, I think his name is Brody, is like, how about this? Option 3. And he slices through his morpher. I did this one. This part confused me a little bit because there was something he was expecting to happen. I looked into it. Apparently, at some point in the series, in the TV series, he did this. He split his morpher, and it created 3 morphers out of the one. So that way, him and 2 other people became the Red Rangers for a fight. I don't fully understand it, but apparently that didn't happen this time. He just destroyed his morpher. He just destroys his morpher, and he's like, "Yeah, you're not getting my morpher. I'm gonna do this." And Drakkon's just kind of like, "Okay, all right." And the other Rangers show up and are like, "Hey, man, that's our buddy. We're gonna stop you." And Drakkon just kind of like deflects and is like, "Yeah, no, I'm just, I'm not here for this right now. I'll see you guys later."
He's just like, "All right, dude."
And as Drakkon returns to his throne, Finster 5's like, "Hey, what is this?" And he's like, "It's a piece of the Ninja Steel Rangers. Like, it's where they get their strength from. I want you to melt it down because I have an idea for it." And we don't know what that idea is yet because that happens later. But it's probably not going to be good. So, with all the multiversal jumping around, we're actually going to jump back in the timeline to Go-Go Power Rangers time period again. So we're back in the past, kind of. We start off with number 9, and we see Bulk and some girl with pink hair running through what looks to be an old school. They meet up with Mr. Kaplan and Ms. Appleby, and find like this is the Resistance at this point. And unfortunately, they're found very quickly by the Black Mastodon sentries. But then those guys are shot down by a really foxy-looking babe with a bow and arrow. Which we find out to be, does it say? Yeah, it's Kimberly. So it's revealed that it's Kimberly, who is part of the Resistance. And then we jump back to the actual timeline, like our timeline, and we get to see, the subplot that we've all been waiting for, Kimberly's parents' divorce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're fighting over it, and Kim's mom's like, "I'm doing this because I'm doing what's best for our daughter," and her dad's like, "Oh, so you leaving me is what's best for our daughter? Great, glad we hashed that out." And keep in mind, this is all timeline-wise, this is all fresh off of the Putty Infiltrator story arc. So one of the things that Zordon had said to the Rangers early on was spending more time around the Zords is a way to, like, learn more about what they're capable of. And because as we've seen, they've only used, like, minor potential that the Zords have, but there is a lot more to it. Like, there's a lot more that could happen with the Zords if they just manage to figure out how to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Which is dumb. It's not even really an important plot point at this point. This is just checking in on all the different people across the different parts of the world right now. Rita is just being crotchety. She's like, "Look, there's this evil presence I feel down on Earth. I want you to check it out." And okay. Goldar's like, you know what? Listen, I'm done being a letdown to you. I'm not going to fail you this time. After he teleports away, she's just like, "You know what? I'm actually hoping you fail this time."
What a bitch.
Well, no, because I don't think it's because she's a bitch. It's she's looking for a powerful ally. And if this is somebody that can beat up Goldar, she has found that powerful ally.
Oh, okay.
Keep in mind, again, timeline-wise, this is before Rita met the Black Dragon.
Oh, okay.
This is all pre-Tommy at this point.
Alright, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it gets confusing jumping back and forth, but I'll try and keep things in order for you as we go. We have Matt, who is now, everyone is checking on him, trying to hear for, like, just make sure he's alive. And he is ghosting everybody. He's ghosting Jason, Zach, Trini, Billy, and of course his girlfriend Kimberly. And because they still have to do their job after homecoming, despite, you know, everything that happened at homecoming dance just a couple days before, it's time for them to get down to business. So they morph and head to the train station, because like every episode of Power Rangers takes place in a train station for whatever reason. And they find Goldar and a horde of putties. And during their fight, they see things start getting shot down by a really foxy looking Power Ranger babe with a bow and arrow that happens to be in the exact same pose that Kimberly was from Lord Drakkon's world.
Huh.
Spoiler alert, it's the Pink Ranger from Drakkon's world.
That's a Psycho Ranger, isn't it?
That is not a Psycho Ranger. Don't worry, you'll see everything. It'll explain it.
Okay.
So this new Pink Ranger is doing like flips and shit, and kicking the shit out of all of the putty patrollers. And the other Rangers are just like, dude, this is badass. Like holy shit. And so they're like, hey girl, you're pretty cool. Did Zordon send you to help? And she's like, nah. By the way, and then just fucking wails on the Power Rangers.
What the fuck? Okay.
And much like one of the things that I've critiqued in the past about anything is when people fight one-on-one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Power Rangers at this point, keeping in mind, don't fight like a team. They fight one person at a time. So so she just tears through them individually because she can. And when Kimberly takes a swing at her, she gets laid out. And as the other Pink Ranger approaches her, she takes off her helmet and she's like, does the thing where it's like, I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm gonna spare you, or should I say, spare me.
Yeah.
And she's got that, you know, cyberpunk future, like, dystopia haircut that every female in media has in cyberpunk future dystopias. Where it's just like really long in the front and then like the shaven around the sides.
Sorry.
And Kimberly's like, hey, who let you out with that haircut? And basically, like older Kimberly's just like, I make jokes when I'm scared, and you do that too. And Kimberly's like, yeah, it's a distraction though. And the rest of her team like assembles, and they're like, okay, we got this time. And and Kimberly other Kimberly is like, wait a second, there's only 5 of you. Where's the other one? And then it kind of clicks for her. She's like, oh fuck me, I'm in the wrong year. So she just books it. She's just like, yeah, I'm out, done, not dealing with this shit right now. And to keep them from following her, she blows up a train car with that's full of gas.
Damn, she tried to kill him.
And so they go back to Zordon and they're like, hey, so what the hell was that? And Zordon, being bald and blue, is just like, I don't know. I guess something cool might happen soon. And they're like, that's fucked up, man. That's really fucked up. Okay, so dinner party on the moon. Rita's like, her Goldar's like, I'm sorry, I fucked up. It was like an evil ranger, and Rita's like, oh yeah, I knew. I figured it was, and seems like she doesn't like the Power Rangers as much as I don't. And the rest of them were like, so what are we gonna do? And she's gonna like, nothing. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do a damn thing. And then everyone's just like, yeah, that sounds like the move. Cool. Glad we talked about this, boss. Thank you.
We're like, you're happy, we're happy.
Yeah, no joke. And then we get another one of those. Look, I get that this is trying to build like characters up into three-dimensional things. I'm tired. I do not enjoy the expositional stuff, like the side plots. Like, you know, I didn't care about Kimberly's parents getting divorced. Right here, they introduce the fact that Jason's dad has cancer. They don't say it, but it's just like, we have some tests that we want to run. This is Dr. Norton's office. We want to run some tests on Wednesday. Are you available? And Jason's like, Dad, what are these tests? And his dad's like, hey man, fuck you. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are asking me questions about my life? And like I get it. It's supposed to put some kind of brevity on the situation, but like it doesn't feel necessary.
Yeah.
And then we teleport back to where the new Pink Ranger is hiding. Her name's the Ranger Slayer. I'm just gonna it's her. She's called the Ranger Slayer because she slays Rangers. Okay. So Ranger Slayer is like trying to communicate with Drakkon's world. She's like, hey, dumbasses, you sent me too far. But you can't hear me anymore. I don't know why I'm doing this. And Rita shows up out of the darkness, as they do. And she's like, hey, so you here to kill me? And she's like, oh, no, what do you, kill you? I want to help you. I'm going to give you a jump start on your Zord so your Zord will turn back on. And this Zord is the coolest fucking Megazord I have ever seen.
What the fuck is it? It looks like goddamn Omnimon.
So check it. So these are the pieces of the Thunder Zords.
The two arms?
No, the whole thing.
The whole thing? The hell?
So this is the Graveyard Zord. Or the Grave Zord. Give me a sec.
Is it because it's like a Frankenstein thing?
Yeah, it's a kit bash of dead Zords.
That is legit Omnimon.
So it's taken from the Thunder Megazord, the White Tiger Zord, and the Shuttle Zord, and Tor the tortoise. So
that's rad as fuck.
They've got, yeah, basically it's just built from broken parts. So this is her Megazord that the Ranger Slayer showed up in this world with. And with Rita giving it a jump start, that means that Kimberly's going to be able to fuck some shit up.
Like, I think, okay, so just a little bothering for me. I don't know if it's like supposed to be this big or just like the dimension wasn't drawn correctly.
I think it was just, I think that it's a lot further away than they're letting on. I think it's just it's just poor scaling, that's all.
Yeah. Because like you saw the scalings of the other Zords that we saw where like it was underwater. Yeah, I think it's just bad scaling for this one, but who knows for sure. Yeah.
Or maybe it's also entirely possible that it's like the Black Dragon and it can grow and shrink.
Oh, that too?
Yeah.
It could just be like a mech.
Yeah. Shattered Grid, the next part, number 20, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, number 27, picks up immediately after the RPM story arc in the annual. As you can see, we've got Dr. K here, the one that shot the robot Lord Drakkon in the annual. So the story picks up in the world of the Coinless, or Drakkon's world, and it's revealed that Eugene Skulovich is one of the Red sentries that work for Lord Drakkon. Eugene Skullovich being Skull from Bulk and Skull. And
Interesting.
when I first read that, I was like, that is some fucked up shit right there. Because as we know, Bulk is on the side of the other side of the team, right?
Yeah.
So, in the mainstream universe, the Rangers are regrouping and kind of piecing together what happened in Lauren's world. Lauren being the Red Samurai Ranger who was rescued by them. And just basically they're piecing together that, okay, so Drakkon is trying to invade everything. And it shows the map behind the Pink Time Force Ranger that shows Lord Drakkon's forces in all of the different segments of the shattered Morphin grid that the pocket dimensions it formed. So once again, we know that Lord Drakkon is trying to amass power. We know that he's trying to become a better version of himself. But I don't think that anybody was fully prepared for the tenacity that he went at it. Because, as I said before, he's going everywhere. Like, there's no time period that he is not currently in some capacity assaulting.
Yeah.
And the fact that Homeboy is able to do that is astonishing. Because, I mean, given, they're all over the place. They're all shattered. There's not one specific time frame. But the fact that he can somehow be in so many places at once it's incredible. And as everyone's kind of discussing like the plan of action going forward, it's they get a transmission from Dr. K, who is transmitting from the world of the Coinless, which again is Drakkon's world, and it's Zack that's like asking for help. So old Zack is on the screen saying like, "Hey, you got to rendezvous with us. We've got a plan. Hopefully it works." And Lord Drakkon, as we've said, has gone through like so many different universes, taking a piece of their power, right? And one of the right, and he doesn't seem to really have any attachment to anything, but he does. He's kind of fidgeting with the red Zeonizer, which is what Tommy had when he was part of Power Rangers Zeo.
Okay.
And it's one of those, I think it's just Drakkon realizing, like, I could have been more than what I am. Because according to the canon of Power Rangers, the Zeo powers are much stronger than the Mighty Morphin power set was. So while Lord Drakkon, he's absorbed all of these other powers at this point, but he could have started off on a much higher base had he waited until like he became the Zeo Ranger. But once they've already used Adam's Zeonizer, so they don't even really need this particular one. Lord Drakkon's just holding on to it for weird sentiment. And after that, he's like, all right, we're done. Get rid of it. Let's go upgrade some more. Yeah, so Drakkon, while I think this is the beginning of when he starts to falter in what he's believing. Because he currently believes he's the superior version of Tommy, right? That's why he went and killed Tommy, is to prove his superiority. But he's starting to see that there's more to it than just the Green Ranger. And I think that that's very important to his character growth as the story goes. And so Lauren and Jason are teleporting to the meeting point, right? And during their ride on the Tyrannosaurus Zord, they kind of start flirting with each other. And, like, being all gross and fucking... They're like Red Rangers. You're not supposed to flirt with other Red Rangers, Meanwhile, the rest of the Rangers, sans Kimberly, arrive in a destroyed part of the... destroyed juice bar, where, Ernie's juice bar is. and they're kind of like, why are we here? Who called us here? And then Zack and the rest of the Coinless step forward, and if you look closely, behind or between Zack and Trini is what looks to be Skull.
Is he playing double agent?
So I don't want to say nothing, but yeah, he is definitely playing double agent here.
Okay.
And they reveal that Drakkon has gotten their hands on Ninjor. Ninjor, of course, at this point, they know who he is, but our mainline universe don't know who Ninjor is because he's not introduced until like season 3. And then we get a pretty epic fight scene between the blue samurai sentries and the RPM Rangers. Now, the RPM Rangers, I never really got to see RPM, but from what I understand, it's one of the best seasons of the franchise because it handles much darker topics than just the superficial, like, Monster of the Day shit, you know?
Oh, okay.
So they're fairly competent fighters, but while they're having their little fight and the Drakkon sentries are starting to push them back, the T-Rex Zord shows up and just starts fucking wailing on them.
As it should.
And like that's one thing that I wish we got more of is the individual Zords fighting on their own, but we don't get that very frequently. And while Jason and Lauren are kind of getting their bearings and like introducing themselves to Dr. K and everything, Lord Drakkon's entire fleet starts making their way to the RPM base, with Lord Drakkon himself at the front line. Now, these other Rangers that are with him are actually evil Rangers from various seasons. So there's 2 of the Psycho Rangers, and then these ones that look like they're from Power Rangers in Space are what was called the A Squad for Power Rangers SPD.
Okay.
And then the dude in the like full like plate armor, that's Korag from Mystic Force. He was he's a badass. And with the fleet closing in, we move on to another time and another place. Back
The
at
hell
the
is this damn Evangelion looking.
it's the Grave Zord. We saw this in issue number 9 of Go-Go.
Yeah, you're right.
Get your shit together.
This is just a more like
it's a better
detailed.
it's a better view. So we now jump back in time again to the Go-Go era, and we've got
little flashback.
yes.
Oh, no.
Yes, this is a flashback. So we get another one of the flashbacks of the Ranger Slayer, it is the Ranger Slayer. We know it's the Ranger Slayer.
Yeah,
but it's before she was the Ranger Slayer, back when she was still part of the Resistance. And her and Bulk are trying to do reconnaissance on, trying to get back, their world, essentially. And it's an interesting moment because not only do we see like what the Ranger Slayer was before, we see what the best version of Bulk can be. Because like the Bulk we know right now, huge dick bag. And but we see in the world of the Coinless that Bulk is capable of being not only like competent as a human, but also like a good person. So
that's good.
Yeah, and it is good to know that there is hope for our boy. Because in the present day, in this timeline, Bulk wants to just keep fucking with Billy. So once again, recreating that scene from I think it was the first Go-Go issue. He's hurling water balloons at Billy, who catches it and flings it back at him. And fucking dead center in the face. And Trini's just like, God damn, Billy. Do that to me. And, while Billy's walking around with his dick out swanging, Kimberly is very angrily confronting Matt. If you remember, Matt is her boyfriend, the one who was attacked by the giant flog monster, spent time in the hospital, and then spent time on the moon.
Okay.
Jumping back quite a ways, because we haven't seen Matt in a while. So, Matt has been avoiding Kimberly, for good reason, from what he sees. He, for some reason, has pieced together that he is special, because it seems like every time he is in trouble, the Power Rangers show up to help. Keeping in mind, 5 of his best friends are the Power Rangers. He hasn't pieced that one together yet. But he thinks he's going to, like, hook up with the Power Rangers and figure out why he is so special.
Okay.
And as we remember from the last issue of Go-Go Power Rangers, Jason just found out his dad has cancer. And he goes to Zordon to ask him to help, which, as we've seen, Zordon after Tommy got stabbed, Zordon has already said, like, we can't undo death. Like, we can't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can't.
Keep in mind, undoing Tommy's death is much later in the timeline than what's happening here, but it is an interesting parallel that they chose to have. Both of them, like, both time frames needing somebody to be saved from something that you don't really come back from. Jason's dad having cancer, Tommy getting stabbed with an alien sword. So, one of the things I've talked about this a few times, Jose, I'm sure you recall. I hate when there are series about, like, high schoolers that have to constantly point out that they're high schoolers. And that is, if I have any complaints about these comics, it's this. They frequently are like, oh, that's right, we're high school students. And I get it, that's how the original series was. They set it all up in high school, but we don't need that, you know? We don't need to keep seeing them in classes. Just let it be like, damn, I'm missing history class to kill this alien right now. But no, we have to see this fucking awkward, like, hey girl, I'm sorry I ditched you at the dance. And she's like, gross. Fuck off, Zach. And then they get the call from Zordon, and they're like, hey, we got a boogie. And their teacher's like, no, you don't get to boogie. And then fucking Gravezord stomps its way through the city, and the whole school has to go into lockdown. Because that's just how it bees.
Protect the children.
So with the lockdown, they can't get out to do what they need to do. And because of the lockdown, they can't draw attention to the fact that they've disappeared, because they'll be taking, like, a roll on who's actually there, right?
Yeah, like the roll check.
So Matt is smart enough to piece together that there's a good chance that the Power Rangers are at the high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Angel Grove, I mean, it looks like a big city, but it's not all that huge, right? So that's pretty logical thinking on his part. He overrides the Power Ranger protocol by pulling the fire alarm. And with the fire alarm, everyone has to get out of the building. Doesn't matter where they go, right? So the 5 Rangers are like, well, now that there's a fire alarm, let's go. And
smart, very smart.
Very smart, right? Now, I want to take a minute, because this is the first time we get, like, a really good look at the Gravezord, right?
Dude,
this thing is a mishmash of, like, a half dozen different Zords. So the wings come from the Phoenix Zord that Kimberly has.
okay.
The head comes from Tor, the Shuttle Zord. Basically, it's a giant turtle, carries all the other Zords on its back, right? So the helmet that the Zord, or that the Gravezord is wearing, is Tor's head.
Okay.
The chest piece is from the White Tiger, and this gauntlet that's covering the sword is the head from the Red Dragon.
Interesting.
And so, keeping in mind that the Thunder Zords that came from Season 2 were just upgraded versions of the Dino Zords. So what's happening is this thing is basically wearing an upgraded version of the Zords that they just showed up to fight in.
Oh shit.
And unsurprisingly, it rocks their shit. Like Zordon's watching the fight and he's like, okay, this maybe they'll find a weakness. It's wow. Okay, and it's not even letting them form the Megazord Alpha. We might be fucked. And then Zordon gets zapped. So.
Oh, shit.
So, the Ranger Slayer has arrived. She is in the command center, and she is showing that she is so capable of what she's doing. Like, this isn't just all lucky circumstances that everything's falling into place for her so well. She has planned this out so meticulously and so masterfully, and now she's here rubbing it in. Because the Grave Zord is controlled remotely. She did that. She basically created a huge diversion so she could get in there and fuck everything up for Zordon. And she's just ready to fucking destroy everything in the name of Lord Drakkon. And meanwhile, Rita's just watching like, damn. While these guys are ripping their asses apart, let's work on a plan to kill whoever is like the winner of this fight. Because Rita is smart enough to realize that she's kind of screwed when it comes to actually fighting the Rangers. She hasn't had a plan that's worked really well yet at this point. So she's just getting sneaky planning ahead, and while everything is just going so wrong for the Rangers, Matt Cook decides, I am going to save the day. I'm going to help. And
What the hell's he gonna do?
he runs out to get their attention. Like, hey Power Rangers, look at it. I'm here to help. And all the Rangers are like, what do we do right now? like what are we supposed to do with this? And just as the Grave and the Grave Zord is just wrecking the other Zords, because the Power Rangers are frozen. They don't know what the hell to do, you know? And on the other side, the Ranger Slayer is fucking up Alpha, just completely destroying him. But luckily, Kimberly is there to help. She shows up and starts shooting arrows at the Ranger Slayer, and then we're given that big fat to be continued. As we move back into the main timeline again. So, Kimberly and Jen from the Time Force, the Pink Ranger from Time Force, are having a girls' night in the Pterodactyl Zord when Jen starts getting like headaches, like really bad headaches. And Kimberly's like, what's going on? And she's like, well, there's a lot of temporal paradoxes going on right now, and this shit sucks. And Kimberly's still like, I want to know, like, if we stop Lord Drakkon, does that fix everything that's happened? Like, do we get Tommy back? Do you get your team back? What happens then? And even Jen's like, I don't know. Like, this might be one of those things where we just kind of have to accept that we might not come back from it. And that's a scary thought, you know?
Yeah.
That's a really scary thought. the Rangers are all out answering various distress signals, and this particular distress signal took them to the Lost Galaxy universe, which Power Rangers Lost Galaxy was after Power Rangers in Space, right? And the Pink Ranger that they come across is Carone. Carone is Astronema, the villain from Power Rangers in Space, after she's been reformed, okay?
Okay.
So, do you remember the Red Ranger the Red Ranger from Power Rangers in Space, Andros?
Vaguely.
Long hair with the weird, blonde stripes in it. This is his younger sister.
Oh, okay.
And Jen is just like, well, this isn't really the Pink Ranger I expected, but we'll work with that. And they bring her back to their ship, and we already see that there is a collection of Rangers that they've gathered already. So we've got Red Light Speed Rescue, Blue Megaforce, the Violet Wild Force, the Blue Dino Charge, the Yellow Megaforce, the Yellow Dino Thunder, and then the Purple Dino Charge. So we've got a collection from a bunch of different time frames, right? Mm-hmm. And then they all get the distress signal from Jason and Lauren from the RPM universe needing help. The Drakkon's forces are on their doorstep. They are fighting with everything they have. Keep in mind, they have sentries from all across different timelines at this point. So they've got samurais, they've got, the Mighty Morphins, they've got one of the coolest designs. They have the green Zeo Ranger, Adams Morpher. So while the sentries are fighting and everything, the Rangers themselves are just trying to get themselves together to fight back. And we jump a third time to another timeline. We go back to Drakkon's world, where Zack and the others have... So it's Zack and Trini and Trini in the world of the Coinless. And the two Zacks are getting ready to try and infiltrate with Skull's help from the inside. So they're dressed in the black Ranger sentries to try and get in.
Infiltrate? Yeah.
Yeah, to put it bluntly. And then while all of the fighting has happened in the RPM universe, Lord Drakkon shows up and he's like, all right, guys, this was fun, but now I'm going to win. I'm going to win all of this. So he unleashes a couple of really nice fucking flurries of attacks and steals the yellow RPM morpher from the Ranger. Which I have to assume that it's excruciatingly painful to have this ripped off.
I mean, it has to be.
Like it's part of you at that point. And as he's separating her from her power, the cavalry arrives from the pterodactyl Zord. We've got half of the entire SPD squad, and all the Rangers that were on the pterodactyl Zord. And so they arrive and start just wailing. And unfortunately, Lord Drakkon comes with better toys. He shows up and he's like, hey guys, you know those cool cannons that take away people's powers? Why don't you have them take away some people powers? Which I don't know if you know, having your powers taken away while you're fighting the worst threat to the timelines can be a pretty stressful situation. So while Dr. K is saying her last prayers, Skull leads Zack and Zack to Ninjor in Drakkon's world. And they take off his little weird mind control crown he's got. And they're like, okay, dude, listen, we need to get you out of here. You're not our Ninjor, you're their Ninjor. You're gonna go back with them. But Finster 5 shows up with a bunch of bad guys. And one of the Zacks is like, okay, I'm going to help. And the other Zack knocks that Zack out of the way. You're kind of left in the dark on which one's which for the time being. But spoiler alert, it's the old Zack that gets shot. And while Skull covers for the Rangers, they try to escape through the side window. Alright, so in the world of RPM, the entire human civilization lives within like a big barrier, a big bubble barrier, right?
Okay.
Because of some like virus that destroyed all of technology or something. This barrier is supposed to protect humans from evil, I think. And Dr. K's brilliant plan to save everyone is to destroy the barrier. Which sucks. Because of reasons. Again, I don't know much about RPM. I just know that that this is a huge deal. And as Zack returns with Ninjor, Trini 2 is like, hey, what happened? And Zack 1 takes off his helmet and reveals like, I'm the one that made it back. I'm sorry. And so now that everyone's performed like their rescue, everyone kind of regroups. Jason takes Dr. K. The Rangers that are still alive are taken back to headquarters to try and just exist and not, all get wiped out. And Ninjor kind of lays out what the final plan is. It's not that he wants to destroy the Power Rangers. It's not that he wants to like get all of the Power Ranger powers. He's trying to break into the morphin grid. So the morphin grid it's kind of its own like, trying to think how to what I would even compare it to. Basically, it's a form of pure energy that if he were able to control it, he would be able to he'd control everything essentially.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And boy, things start getting good. So right now, as we've pieced together, Drakkon's plan is not only going throughout the shattered grid, but it's also working from two different points in time within the Power Ranger timeline, the mainstream one. So we have the Go-Go time frame, which the Ranger Slayer is there working through, right? And we have the mainstream timeline, which is where Drakkon has been coordinating. So we jump back to where the Ranger Slayer is currently facing off with Kimberly. Now, we have another little flash over to Kimberly's life before she became the Ranger Slayer. She is working to rescue survivors from that are not conforming with Lord Drakkon's orders. And one of the ones she finds is Matt, her ex-boyfriend. He is a little worse for the wear. He looks like shit. He's missing a hand. As more troops come in to attack, Kim's like, okay, we need to get going, but we need to bring him with us. And Matt dies in her arms. Matt's injuries were so severe that he was like just holding on. And Kimberly doesn't even get proper time to grieve about it because as I said, they're under attack right now. So that's when Kimberly decides, well, they've taken everything else, so I'm going to take him. I'm going to kill Lord Drakkon. And we can piece together that something may have gone wrong. We get to the fight between the Ranger Slayer and Kimberly, and Kimberly's just getting overpowered. Like it's not even a fair fight. It's the same person, but it's on two completely different levels, you know. Mm-hmm. And while while Kimberly is just like trying to stay alive, Kimberly 2, the Slayer, is just checking in on how her Zord's doing. You know, like, oh, it's Cash. I got a second to breathe. And as she's like wailing on the Zords, she turns and tries to take out a civilian, which happens to be Matt, which she recognizes. And Matt's just like standing there like, hi there.
I'm gonna die.
Please don't hurt me. And the Rangers are like, okay, dude, we gotta get fucking Matt out of there. So they just try wailing on her, but the Grave Zord literally tears through the Tyrannosaurus Zord. And the other Rangers are just like, what the fuck are we gonna do here? Like, we're screwed. And Kimberly's just like, okay, I'm gonna push this button. So she pushes so Kimberly 1 presses a button on the console that electrocutes the Slayer, snaps the evil fucking bow she's got, and frees her.
Huh.
So the Zords are fighting, but then everything shuts down. The Grave Zord shrinks back down. So yes, this is another one of those Zords that has the capability of shrinking and growing. Okay. That was a question you had. But the Grave Zord just shuts down. And we get a small detour again as we have with Rita and the others. And Squat and Babu are like, hey boss, the Power Rangers won. And Rita's like, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and attack now. Finster, you keep doing work. You're good at the work you do. Keep making monsters. And there is something interesting about seeing people who are brainwashed break free from the brainwashing. Because it's always like, there's some semblance of like they were there while they were doing it, but like had no control over what was going to happen.
Right.
And like it's such a common trope that even the other Rangers are like, I don't know, man. This still seems a little suspicious. And Zordon's like, hey man, look. She said she's sorry. Like we gotta forgive her, right? And even Kimberly too is like, yeah, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve forgiveness. The things that happened, I did them, whether I was under someone else's control or not. And once again, we're back at the high school, and Matt is once again like, guys, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm kind of a fucking big deal. Not only did giant robot not kill me, it said my name. And so like this is one of those moments where he's like so wrapped up in his own idea of what's happening that he's completely, nobody's able to communicate with him otherwise.
So it just keeps feeding that theory in his head.
He's feeding his own theories with circumstantial evidence. Yeah. And everyone's like, dude, you need to stop it. Like, you can't keep doing this. And he's like, no, guys, it's cool. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I promise. And Kimberly 1 recognizes that there is one thing that Kimberly 2 has probably been missing for a while. And that's having fun. So, in the world of the coinless, Drakkon's world, the world where everything went to shit, I can't imagine that there's been a lot of like time for like just kicking back and relaxing. So Kim takes her out to the juice bar, and they have juices, and Kimberly 2 recognizes Bulk and Skull, and she goes over and gives Bulk a huge hug. And everyone's understandably confused. Kimberly's just like, what the fuck was that? And she's like, you wouldn't understand. Like, you wouldn't. And to be fair, like, up to this point, the only thing that Kimberly's experiences with Bulk and Skull are that they're huge assholes. But Kimberly 2's like, I know that big guy. He's a big softy. We love him. And then she just fucking crushes it. She has like a dozen juices. She sets new high scores on the arcades, and then she gets the milkshake shits.
Yeah, as a teenager does.
And everything's great until Matt shows up, and he's like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Kim, is this your better looking older sister?" And that breaks Kimberly too. She's just like, I gotta get out of here. It's not a ghost, it's a different person. I'm not like he's his own person here. And as she's trying to like bring herself back, she hears Lord Drakkon's voice. He has been looking for her. And she's like, hey, Finster 5 sent me on a mission to try and make sure everything goes according to plan, right? And he's like, dude, you have no idea how great things have been going. Like, everything's been going exactly the way it needs to. Also, I killed myself from the timeline that you're in, and so everything's golden. And Kimberly 2 is like, so was that necessary? Like, I'm not trying to question you or nothing. Well, no, I'm questioning you here. That's gonna fuck everything up, isn't it? And Drakkon's like, oh, word? Okay. So you're not under my control anymore. Well, best of luck. Good luck where you're at. And he just bails. Leaves her there. So,
damn.
Kimberly 2 is now stuck in the past. She has no way of returning to her timeline. So, Kimberly 2 being stranded in this timeline decides that she's gonna work on something. She's got some secret plan that she's trying to make sure happens, but she can't let anybody else know what it is. So when Billy starts poking around and is like, hey, why don't you try doing this in the main control room? Kimberly's just like, zap. And she's like, I have to find, I can't let Drakkon win at any cost. And if what I'm trying to do works, you won't know that I've ever done, like, you'll never know that anything has changed, right?
Okay.
Basically what she's saying is, like, if everything goes according to plan, the timeline will continue the way it's supposed to, and nothing gets fucked up to begin with. So ballsy. Also, the issue ends with two giant monsters standing in the middle of Angel Grove. Just really ready to rock and roll. Because Rita's there to fuck shit up.
Rita wants the leftovers.
Right. Alright, issue 29 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers starts off with a bunch of, well, all of the people that are being held prisoner in Lord Drakkon's castle. Two of them are Rangers, Kelsey and TJ. So Kelsey is from Lightspeed. So Kelsey is the yellow Lightspeed Ranger. So, as we know, Drakkon is killing Rangers, but he's also capturing Rangers. And the Resistance group from the main timeline is now meeting in the command center with Zordon, like, so what do we do? And because, like, Nidro's made it clear, like, this is what Lord Drakkon's planning on trying to get into the Morphin Grid. It's a hard thing to say is possible, but it's not. But we can't say that it's impossible. So basically, they're like, okay, so we need to figure out a way to make it so that we need to stop him from tearing everything down, and the easiest way to do that is just go knock on his door. Like, we're gonna show up and kill, or not kill because they're Power Rangers. We're gonna show up and stop him from taking over everything. And while they're planning, the Red Space Ranger, Andros, crash lands outside the command center, and he's saying, like, I know where everyone's at. I know where the survivors are. And, well, that gives them hope. And back in the world of the Coinless, Zordon or Drakkon's trying to figure out why and how there was so much failure with letting Ninjor get away. Yeah. And so they've been interrogating Skull. They've been beating the hell out of Skull, and Skull's just like, fuck you, we're gonna win. And Drakkon's like, I kind of admire the fact that you stood up to me that way. By the way, I'm killing your commanding officer. And at this point, we see the beginning of the Ranger Slayer conversation from Drakkon's point of view. So Finster Five's like, hey, I found her. I know where she's at. And he's like, great. And so we have that same scene play out. And so, having lost his Ranger Slayer, Lord Drakkon is now, like, he's actually starting to feel it. Like, he's been pumping himself full of all this extra morphing energy, and now it's starting to actually affect his body. And Finster Five, being a compassionate soul, is starting to worry about Lord Drakkon himself. And he's like, look, I can't guarantee I can even get the access you're looking for, because Ninjor was the one that was really holding everything together. And Drakkon's like, you know what? We just need a little bit more time. It'll hold until then. And this is where I would say the most dire of situations. So we have team ups that are happening with, people from all across time and space. We have Doggy Kruger and Zordon collaborating on like a plan to get us out of there, or to get them out of the situation. We've got Grace Sterling from Promethea is helping to upgrade everything for the Rangers, and she reveals that she is the one that built Terra Venture. Terra Venture is the space station from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy that
what the hell?
All of humanity lives on that side of the universe.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty kick-ass. So the two Rangers from that time period are like, that's where we live. and she's like, what? How? You built it? And she's like, yeah, I know. Pretty cool, right? And so we get the moment where everybody's starting to regroup. Everyone's coming together on both sides, really. And we get a shot of every single Ranger that is available arriving on the doorstep of the command center.
That is a badass shot. Both panels. Holy shit.
So we have the far shot with all the shooting stars looks a lot more impressive than when you like zoom in on all the faces we've got. Because, like, don't get me wrong, it's a large number, but it's not nearly as large of a number as it makes it look with the shooting stars.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So with all the Rangers there, it's like, okay, guys, we might actually have a chance here. And Zordon's like, okay, we need
a bigger room.
we need a bigger room, but we also need to ask for help from somebody we never thought we were going to have to ask for help from. And they go and talk with Rita Repulsa.
Oh.
And they're like, hey, Rita, listen, we need your help. And then we get to the final part of the Ranger Slayer story in Go-Go Power Rangers. So...
Wait, hold on. Can move?
What?
Zordon moves?
I mean, as long as there's some kind of... that might just be a hologram of his head. I don't know for sure.
Oh, okay.
The final part of the Ranger Slayer story in Go-Go Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. We get a flashback of Kimberly like whooping ass against the Red Ranger sentries. And she is dead set on taking out Drakkon. But Drakkon, in addition to being a very powerful Power Ranger, is a very powerful sorcerer at this point. And he takes control of Kimberly, turning her into the Ranger Slayer.
That's cool.
And if that wasn't exciting enough, we get to see Jason confront his father about not telling his mom he had cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean that. Like, what a way to up the ante on this one, right? So we get modern day Kimberly 2 being confronted by Kimberly 1, and she's like, "Hey, you see Billy on the ground there? Fuck you do? The fuck did you do?" And God, again. Matt's stupid. Matt is just the dumbest. He sees these giant monsters on TV, and his immediate thought is, I gotta go downtown and take a look at that. So he starts texting all of the Rangers, like, this is a like you guys told me to let you know before I did anything stupid or crazy. This is me letting you know I'm gonna do something stupid and crazy. Can somebody respond to me? And nobody. And because everyone is in their like they're rangering right now, they're fighting. He's like, I'm going into town. I'm going to try and find the Power Rangers. If I don't see you guys again, Kimberly, I love you.
Oh, shit.
And so they're rangering, and they're fighting two monsters at once. Two monsters at once. And they're not doing so hot. But the Ranger Slayer shows up, the Ranger Slayer goes and reactivates the Gravezord. And while she's reactivating the Gravezord, fucking Matt is just there, like, okay, guys, I found that evil Power Ranger with that evil robot that she's got. And she turns around and she's like, ah, fuck. Matt, listen. It's me, Matt. I'm the problem. The Power Rangers are getting their asses kicked, and then the Gravezord shows up, and it's like, okay, I'm here, I'm gonna win, and they do. Oh, the Mega Gravezord.
What the hell?
So the pieces of the Gravezord attach themselves to the Megazord, which, God, I love it. It's such a beautiful sight. I love that this series gets a lot more experimental with the Zords than what we got in the TV show.
Yeah.
And it definitely adds something to it.
And it's just like the attention to detail that the artist did on this.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we make the Grey Zord like even more badass?
Right.
And how do we change it significantly to be like, that's not the same one?
Right. So while the Zords are fighting, Kimberly 2 is meeting up with a young Tommy. So this is Tommy before he has debuted as a Ranger, right?
Oh, okay. Before even Rita got to him.
And she's like, hey, I'm gonna shoot you with this fucking arrow. It's for your own good, trust me. And so he shoots her. She shoots him in the chest. And he has visions of everything that's happened. And then just kind of like moves on. He's like, oh, okay. That was weird. And just that's it. That's all we get. Just a weird moment from Tommy. While the Grave Zord fucking incinerates these two Cthulhu monsters that are attacking the city. And in the as the fight's dying down, Kimberly too finds herself face to face with Grace Sterling from the mainstream universe. And she's like, well, how odd that Zordon lost another Ranger. Now, Kimberly too told Matt some things about the Power Rangers. Things that are not okay for the Power Rangers to have leaked about them, i.e. their names, who they are, etc., etc. So he confronts the Rangers about it, and he says, I know all of it. If you guys can't look me in the face and tell me the truth on this, I'm walking out of your lives. And the Rangers can't say anything. So Matt does exactly what he said he was going to do, and he walks out of their lives.
Oh, shit.
Because he now knows that the reason everything seems to be happening around him is because his 5 best friends have been lying to him.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we get to the penultimate issue of this series. Shattered Grid number 30, or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 30. This cover is just Lord Drakkon sitting on the broken throne of Rita Repulsa, surrounded by the helmets of dead Rangers. And there are a shitload of dead Ranger helmets.
This white one up on the left, that was Tommy, no?
No. That was Trent from Dino Thunder.
Okay.
So, Rita is just loving that Zordon and Doggy Kruger have come to her asking for help. And she is just like, oh, I'm sure I could help, but I want to hear you beg me. And Zordon's like, look, Rita, please save everyone's lives.
Dude, we don't have time for your dummy mommy shit right now.
Yeah. And we, moving on over to Drakkon, he is working in a forge to create the tool that he needs to get into the morphing grid. So he has taken the steel from the Ninja Steel Morpher that he took from them, and he is combining it with the metal from Saba, and he is making his way in. He's finishing what he needs to do in order to move forward, and that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Rangers from all over time and space are kind of taking a minute to breathe before everything happens. We see, the Time Force Quantum Ranger reuniting with Jen, who's the Pink Ranger. We've got a couple of the secondary, they're not really considered Rangers, but they're still part of the team, the Magna Defender and then the Phantom Ranger. And they're both just kind of like, so you're like a helmet on kind of guy? Oh, yeah, pretty much all the time. We've got
That's all.
the Yellow Ranger from the Hyperforce team and the Yellow Ranger from the Ninja Storm team, both of which are known for using hammers. Kind of just like being like, hey, nice hammer, bro. Cool thing about the Yellow Hyperforce Ranger. So Power Rangers Hyperforce was an RPG, a Power Rangers RPG done as an official part of Power Rangers, right?
Really?
Yeah, so it's on YouTube. I think it's like 21 episodes, one of which is a tie-in to Shattered Grid. And it's it takes place a few years after Time Force originates from, like 3005 or something like that. Somewhere in that range. And it's a group of students that become Power Rangers by accident. So the Yellow Ranger, the guy that plays his character, does the RPG for his character, is the guy that played Bulk back in the day.
What?
So he plays 2 Power Rangers.
Oh, that's cool. So that panel right there, the little one's just like a real big callback.
Well, it's not. Well, yeah. They're actually a major player in some of the later stories too. So it's not even just like a one-off appearance. So it's really cool. And Jason gives the speech. You know, like there's always the speech. Like we're gonna win this fight, and we have to win this fight, because if we don't win this fight, bad things are gonna happen. But we don't need to worry, because we're Power Rangers. And just before the fight, like they get ready to take off, Jason gives Kimberly the Dragon Dagger. The Dragon Dagger gives her the ability to control the Dragon Sword. So there's only with the Megazords, there are certain formations that only require certain Zords. With the Dragon Zord battle mode, which takes the only Zord that's not a part of it is Kimberly's. And Jason tells her, hey, I want you to pilot it. So he gives her control of the Dragon Zord, which gives her the Dragon Shield. This is like a carrying a part of Tommy with her into this final fight, you know.
Right.
And it's an emotion. It's pretty emotional. Like, also seeing the Pink Ranger with a Dragon Shield is fucking kick ass. I don't care who you are. So everyone's ready. The Rangers are all prepped. They're like, okay, Alpha, send us into the battle. So they teleport all of the Rangers to Drakkon's world, where they are faced off with so many more sentries than they were prepared for. We've got the ones we're used to. We've got the yellow saber-tooth tiger one. We've got the red sentry for the T-Rex. We've got the black ones for the Mastodon. We've got the blue ones from Samurai. We've got the white ones from Jungle Fury. And we've got the gold one from Dino Charge? Yeah, Dino Charge. So everything's not looking great. And so Jason's like, hey, Lauren, what are you thinking about? And she's just like, I'm really glad I got to know you. And for me, that always took me out of the moment, you know? It's like, yeah, okay, it's cute, like, you guys are flirting with each other and stuff again, but, like, you guys are about to die.
Yeah.
And very quickly, they all start getting shot at by yet another type of sentry, the Silver Space Sentries. And everyone helmets up, and Lauren calls anybody that has a Battleizer mode to activate it. Battleizers are basically upgrades for the Red Rangers that give them a little bit of extra oomph. It wasn't introduced until, like, I think Time Force or Lightspeed Rescue, one of the two. And while the Rangers are doing the frontal assault, Rita, Ninjor, Zordon, and Doggy Kruger move into the throne room and start working some witchy bitchy magic. And over the next few pages are just fight. It's just constant fighting. And we get Serpentera. Serpentera is a Zord that is big enough to eat Zords. And unfortunately, it's not a good Zord. It's a villain-controlled Zord.
Did not know that at all.
So Serpentera shows up and destroys 4 Megazords immediately.
Oh, shit.
And Lord Drakkon shows up and is like, hey guys, guess what? You're dead. You're dead. Taking your powers now. This sword that he merged the metal from Saba and the ninja steel sword can now just steal powers. So he is absorbing ranger powers left and right. And Kimberly's like, I am going to fuck you up. So she shoots the dragon dagger straight at Drakkon's chest. And Drakkon's like, okay, something's fucky. What's going on? And he holds up his hand and like you can see cracks forming on his hand.
Oh shit.
And he comes back to the throne room to try and regroup, but he finds everybody's already there. And Rita's like, you are so fucked. And Zordon's like, I don't like the way she said it, but yeah, you are. And then all of the good guys in this circumstance get zapped by Finster 5 with Lord Zed's scepter.
Oh shit.
And then they're like, okay, and he's like, I need you to fix me. I need you to give me more power. And Finster 5's like, I can't do that. Please. You are going to die. And he's like, okay, I understand. And I appreciate everything that you've done. And then he kills Finster 5. And
who didn't see that coming?
I gotta be honest, up to this point, I did not see that coming. Finster, like, cause like every other character he has been such an asshole to. Finster 5 is the only one he's ever shown any level of compassion to. And when it came to that, it wrecked me for a bit. And he stumbles into the laboratory where they've been upgrading him, and there is machinery connected to so many different morphers, and he activates it so he absorbs all of them at once, and it tears everything apart, absolutely annihilates it. And that brings us to the finale of Shattered Grid. We open with the aftermath of the battle. Everything is falling apart. The Rangers are scrambling just to survive. And one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The Time Force Pink Ranger is like, okay, we've got to work with what we have here. So we're going to take a look at your different Zords and see what fits together. So they bring together, let's see, they've got the entire Hyperforce team, the purple Dino Charge, the purple Jungle Fury, and then the pink Zeo Rangers. All bring their Zords together, and they create something fucking amazing.
Whoa.
And then as they're finally putting up a fight back against Serpentera, again, the Zord that eats Zords, well, unfortunately everything falls apart. A whole bunch of a whole bunch of the Rangers start losing their powers, and so they just kind of Hail Mary it and stab Serpentera through the back.
Oh shit.
And Jason was one of the ones that got caught up in trying to stop everything. He was piloting the Quantum Rex Zord, which was crushed by Serpentera. So everyone's like at a loss because Jason is probably dead. And as they're trying to just like regroup, the world shatters around them, literally. And Jen sees the giant Lord Drakkon that destroyed her team standing before them. So, Lord Drakkon has torn apart the fabric of reality. We've got the Rangers that are on board the Terra Venture ship, the giant space station, fighting against the remaining sentries. It's a mixed bag of Rangers, as it's been the whole time. We've got the Ranger Slayer, the Red Ranger from Power Rangers in Space, Corone, the Navy Dino Charge Ranger, and everything turns white. And we come on a little happy suburban home with Rita and Zordon parenting young Tommy. They've also got a dog named Kruger. I love it because
It's Doggy Kruger.
Yeah, it's Doggy Kruger, his dad's Zordon, and his mom's Rita Repulsa.
Yeah.
And they get a call, and it's like, oh no, I have to save the world. Be back for dinner.
A Superman panel too.
Yeah, he rips open his shirt, and he's got the diamond from his armor on his chest. And we have these big, like, ethereal spirit animals of a tiger and a falcon heading towards the coastline, with Jen piloting piloting the White Tiger Zord, and someone's piloting the Dragon Zord to stop the animals. But Lord Drakkon shows up to save the day. Everyone's so thrilled. Jason and Zach and Trini need to interview him, and all of this is really once again pointing to he's starting to have misgivings of his own mission here. Mm-hmm. He sees a reflection of himself, but it's the other Tommy when he in a reflection on a camera, and this Tommy is whispering to him, just constantly like, hey, so everything just feels wrong, doesn't it? So he says fuck it and heads back to his mansion. Billy's there waxing his car. Finster's there butlering. Lauren is teaching a karate class, which he's like, hey, I'll show you guys some cool stuff. Jason's also there for the karate class. And between all of this superheroing and seeing, what he wants this world to be, he's got Tommy just whispering in his ear like how everything is wrong. And Drakkon's like, listen, fuckface, I'm a god. And Tommy's like, you're a god that can't ignore a single hallucination. And so, little bit by bit, Tommy is driving Drakkon insane. It's not real. I'm in control. I can do it. But everyone's realizing, okay, he's faltering. And so all of the pieces are falling into place. But they're not, they just need that one little push. So we take over to the juice bar, where we have Kimberly cleaning tables. And if you look in the back, you got Drakkon's symbol everywhere because he's, self-absorbed. And shadowy figure, definitely not Tommy, walks up to Kimberly and kind of gives her a little shock to the forehead to remember. And all of the memories of what happened to Tommy come rushing back to her. And Tommy's like, okay, so...
Huh.
So she has memories of both sides. She's remembering what reality was, and she's also remembering what Drakkon's reality was. So, I can't imagine what it would be like to have an entire life flooding back into your skull at once, but she's got her friends there to help. The rest of the Rangers, including Jen from the Time Force, is there to comfort her. And Drakkon is, again, starting to, it's definitely getting to him. He doesn't know what to do because, well, everyone's kind of acting weird around him. And he can't, Finster can't find Billy, who's supposed to be working on his car. and I can't figure out where he went. And then Tommy gives a full breakdown. He got shot way back in the day and got pulled into the morphin grid. A part of his soul got pulled into the morphin grid to protect it from completely dissolving. While Tommy's giving his little spiel, he reveals the ones that are kind of keeping everything together right now, and it's the emissaries, the 3 that Zordon went asking for help from. They finally realized that they messed up. They should have been there, and now that he has gained what's referred to as the Heart of a Master, which is the diamond on his chest, the Heart of a Master will allow him to create and destroy things. So he's basically Thanos snapping a completely new reality into existence. And when Drakkon finds the Rangers, all 7 of them, I guess, because you got Jen there too, he goes fucking ballistic. And he is just wailing on him. And while he's going ape shit, Tommy's like, look, man, I've won. I've got friends here helping me. And he flies up and just yoinks off the giant crystal. He's like, look, I've got the dragon sword, I got the tiger sword, I got friends, and now I got your crystal. And they have one of those like psychic battles that you see in movies, like especially when it's like Professor X, where you're inside of the brain and all that. And Tommy's like, check it out. We're inside of the heart of this thing that you stole. We don't have any powers. It's just you and me. And Drakkon's like, dude, I'm like so much stronger than you. And just starts fucking beating on this like 15-year-old. And Tommy's like, you know what? No, I'm stronger than you. And then he just starts beating up this old dude. And then Drakkon's like, Drakkon realizes, well, fuck, I lost. And Tommy is holding the gem, and he's like, all right, we're gonna put things back to the way they should be. You can come with us. Like, we can help you. You don't have to do this alone anymore. And Drakkon, unfortunately, turns away. We could have had 2 really cool Tommies fighting side by side, but Drakkon had to be a little bitch. So the 8 Rangers. Sorry, there are 8 Rangers. There's the 5 mighty. Nope, there is 7. There's the 5 mighty Morphins, Tommy, who's no longer morphed, Jen from the Time Force, and Lauren from the Samurai. And they're in a like Morphin Grid version of the command center. And the emissaries are like, okay, listen, we can put everything back to the way it was. It's not going to be perfect, but we'll go back. We'll do the best we can to fix it. But you're not going to be able to remember any of it. Because
that's crazy. Because
of everything that's happened to you, your brain would literally, like, you wouldn't physically be able to handle it. And so everyone kind of says their sad goodbyes. Lauren and Jason, who were just like starting to get all flirty, are like, well, I guess bye. And then Tommy and Kimberly kiss, and it's cute. And they end. They rebuild the world back to what it should be, and they look forward to a bright future. And that concludes the Shattered Grid story. So, Shattered Grid was a story that was built up to very well for, 20 plus issues between Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and then Go-Go Power Rangers. And, God, it was, in my opinion, it was well worth the wait when it was coming out.
Yeah, this is, now going through it with you, it's like, I wish I would have been there to get the physical copies as it came out.
Oh, for sure. It was so when they did the release of the first issue of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, they had, or the number 25, the first part of Shattered Grid for Power Rangers. There was like, I think 8 different polybag variants you could get. Like there was each of the helmets, but then there was also Drakkon helmet and someone else's. But it
was the white Drakkon. I think the greens were only in the polybags.
Yeah,
or like the rarest to get. Yeah.
Oh no, they all came in a polybag.
Yeah. They were like the most sought out ones.
Yeah, they were the most sought out, but it was basically it was a blind bag polybag. You didn't know which one you were getting. But I'm thoroughly enjoying this, and I'm excited to take you by the hand and lead you into what comes after this, because like it's just getting started.